In this module we will look at the lighting system. First, we will start out with the exterior lighting system. Next, we will look at the interior lighting systems of the flight deck, cabin, and cargo compartments. Finally, we will look at the emergency lighting system. The exterior lighting system consists of the following lights: navigation, taxi and takeoff, landing, wing illumination, beacons, strobes, and the optional logo lights. The exterior lights are controlled by the external lights panel, located on the overhead panel in the flight deck. The navigation lights consists of 3 differently colored lights, one in each wingtip, and one in the rear tail cone. The right wingtip navigation light is green. The left wing navigation light is red. The tail cone navigation light is white. The navigation lights are powered by the DC service bus, or DC bus 1 if the DC service bus is not powered. The navigation lights are controlled by the navigation switch on the external lights panel. In addition to the navigation lights, the navigation switch also controls the illumination of the ice evidence probe. All navigation lights and the ice evidence probe light will be illuminated when the switch is in the on position. When off is selected, all lights are off. The aircraft has 2 red rotating beacon lights. One beacon is located on top of the vertical stabilizer, and the second one is located near the center of the bottom of the fuselage. The red beacon lights should be on anytime the aircraft is moving. The beacon lights are powered by the DC service bus or DC bus 1, if the DC service bus is not powered. The rotating beacon lights are controlled by the beacon switch on the external lights panel. When on is selected, the beacons will be operating. The beacons are disabled when off is selected. The aircraft has 3 strobe lights, one in each wingtip, and one in the tail cone. These strobe lights are adjacent to the navigation lights. The strobe lights flash white to aid in aircraft identification. The left and tail strobe lights are powered by AC Wild Bus 2. The right strobe light is powered by AC Wild Bus 1. The strobe lights are controlled by the strobe switch. The strobe lights will flash when the switch is in the on position. The strobe lights are disabled when off is selected. 2 lights are mounted on the nose gear strut. They are used during taxi and takeoff to supplement the landing lights. Both lights are controlled by the same switch, and they will automatically extinguish at gear retraction. The taxi and takeoff lights are powered by AC Wild Bus 2. The taxi and takeoff lights are controlled by a single toggle switch labeled taxi and takeoff. When on is selected, both the taxi and takeoff lights are illuminated. The off position extinguishes both lights. The aircraft has 2 landing lights. The landing lights are installed in the forward part of each main landing gear bay fairing. The left landing light is powered by AC Wild Bus 1. The right landing light is powered by AC Wild Bus 2. Each individual landing light is controlled by an associated land switch. The on position illuminates the associated landing light. The off position extinguishes the associated landing light. Two wing lights illuminate the wing leading edges and the engine air intakes. These wing lights are flush mounted on either side of the fuselage. The purpose of these lights is to enable the crew to check if ice is accumulating on these areas of the wings and engines. These lights are also used to enhance aircraft visibility while in flight. The wing lights are powered by DC bus 2. The wing lights are controlled by a single switch labeled wing. Both wing lights are illuminated when on is selected. The off position turns off both wing lights. Two optional logo lights are flush mounted on the bottom side of the horizontal stabilizer. These lights illuminate the company logo on the vertical stabilizer. The logo lights are powered by the DC service bus. Both logo lights are controlled by the logo switch. Both logo lights are illuminated when the switch is in the on position. The off position extinguishes both logo lights. Interior lighting consists of the flight deck lights, the cabin and cargo lights, cabin signs, and emergency lights. Flight deck lighting consists of integral panel lighting, spotlights, floodlights, storm lights, and dome lights. The flight deck lights are controlled by various control panels located on the overhead panel, on the flight instruments panel, and the center pedestal. Integral lighting is controlled by the light panel, located on the center pedestal. The selector labeled MIPPED adjusts the brightness of the integral lighting for the main instruments panel and center pedestal. The selector labeled overhead controls the integral lighting for the overhead panel. The brightness of the annunciator lights on the overhead panel, main instrument panel, and center pedestal is adjusted by the annunciator light switch, located on the overhead panel. This switch also controls the brightness of the flow bars and the push buttons on the overhead panel. All lights will illuminate dim when the dim position is selected. This would be the normal switch position at night. If bright is selected, all associated lights will illuminate bright, which is normal for daytime. The annunciator lights, as well as the flow bars and the push buttons on the overhead panel, can be tested by placing the annunciator light switch to the test position. This will cause all the associated lights and flow bars to illuminate bright. Center pedestal flood lighting is controlled by the flood knob on the light and recorder panel, on the aft section of the center pedestal. The flood light can be turned off completely by placing the knob in the full counterclockwise position. Out of that position, the knob position proportionally adjusts the intensity of the overhead flood light. The two side panels are illuminated by lights mounted under the side windows. These lights are controlled by a console light knob. There is one knob for each side. The associated side panel light is extinguished when a knob is in the full counterclockwise position. Out of that position, the knob enables the selection of various levels of intensity. Each pilot position incorporates a reading spotlight. These are mounted on the ceiling and illuminate the work surfaces below each side window frame. They are controlled by the reading light knob, located right above the console light knob. This knob can turn off the associated reading spotlight, as well as adjust the intensity of the light. Two dome lights provide general illumination of the flight deck. They are located above each pilot's side window. These dome lights can be illuminated bright or dim. The two dome lights are controlled by the dome switch on the flight compartment lights panel on the overhead panel. The standby compass is illuminated by an integral light that is controlled by the standby compass switch. Storm lights are located under the glare shield and provide ultra-bright lighting to the main instrument panel in the event lightning is encountered. These lights are controlled by the storm switch. With a switch in the storm position, the storm lights illuminate at maximum brightness. With a switch in the off position, the storm lights illuminate at normal brightness. Passenger signs consist of fasten seat belts and no device signs located over the passenger seats. In addition, there is a return to seat sign located in the lavatory. The passenger signs are controlled by the no device and seat belt switches on the signs panel on the overhead panel. When the no device sign switch is placed in the on position, the no device signs will illuminate in the cabin, and a single chime will sound throughout the cabin. In addition, no device is displayed in cyan on the memo section of the multi-function display. Placing the switch to the off position extinguishes the no device signs and erases the message from the memo section. A chime sounds throughout the cabin anytime the no device signs are turned on or off. When the seat belt switch is placed in the on position, the fasten seat belt signs illuminate in the cabin, the return to seat sign illuminates in the lavatory, and a single chime will sound throughout the cabin. In addition, seat belt is displayed in cyan on the memo section of the MFD. Placing the switch to the off position extinguishes the fasten seat belt signs, extinguishes the return to seat sign in the lavatory, and erases the message from the memo section. A chime sounds throughout the cabin anytime the fasten seat belt signs are turned on or off. Cabin lighting consists of galley lights, lavatory lighting, lateral passenger lighting, ceiling or dome lighting, entrance lighting, rear cargo lights, and reading lights. Cabin lighting is controlled by the flight attendant panel. This panel enables the flight attendant to control lighting throughout the cabin. Most of the cabin lights are powered by DC Bus 1, DC Bus 2, DC Service Bus, DC Essential Bus, DC Utility Bus 1, or DC Utility Bus 2. The reading lights are powered by either AC Wild Bus 1 or AC Wild Bus 2. Therefore, cabin lighting would be unavailable if none of these buses were powered. In order to provide a minimum amount of cabin lighting, every second overhead light on the right-hand side of the cabin is powered by the main battery. This minimum lighting is controlled by the minimum cabin light switch on the overhead panel. It should be noted that this switch is operative only when the aircraft is on battery power. A switch located on the left side of the flight deck entrance, below the observer's oxygen mask, will illuminate lights in the flight deck, as well as the emergency exit lights, for a period of 2 minutes. This switch is referred to as a 2-minute switch. The forward and aft cargo compartments are illuminated. The forward cargo compartment light is controlled by the cargo bay light switch on the cargo operating panel, which is located on the left side of the fuselage, just aft of the cargo door. The forward cargo light will illuminate automatically whenever the forward cargo compartment door is opened. In the event of an electrical power failure, an emergency lighting system provides lighting of the flight deck, the cabin, and the exterior of the aircraft. There are also emergency flashlights in the aircraft. In the event the electrical system is in the emergency supply configuration during flight, the only available flight deck lights are the right dome light, the storm lights below the captain's side of the glare shield, and the pedestal light on the overhead panel. Cabin emergency lights consist of exit signs, evacuation path markings near the floor, ceiling lights, and exterior lights. The exterior emergency lights illuminate 4 areas of the exterior of the aircraft. 2 lights illuminate the left side of the aircraft, and 2 lights illuminate the right side. These lights illuminate areas that can be used as an emergency exit point. The evacuation path markings are a photoluminescent system that does not require electrical power. The markers absorb photons and radiate them back when it is dark. The ceiling lights, exit signs, and exterior lights are powered by 6 volts DC. The system is powered either by the DC standby bus through a voltage divider, or by 6-volt integral batteries charged by the DC standby bus. The batteries for the cabin emergency lights are recharged by the DC standby bus when it is powered. If DC standby bus voltage drops below 18 volts, the batteries will take over and continue to power their associated lights. The batteries will provide power to illuminate the emergency lights for a period of 10 minutes. The emergency lighting system is controlled by the emergency exit light switch on the overhead panel. The emergency exit lights are illuminated by placing the switch in the on position. The emergency lighting system is armed when the switch is in the arm position. In this position, the emergency lights will illuminate if the DC standby bus voltage drops below 18 volts, or if both generators are lost. The emergency exit lights will extinguish if the DC standby bus voltage is above 20 volts, and at least one generator is operating. In the disarm position, the emergency lights will be extinguished, and the emergency lighting system is deactivated. This is the normal position for this switch, when the engines are not running. When the emergency lighting system is deactivated, the disarm light illuminates amber, to indicate that the system is inhibited. The flight attendant panel has an emergency light switch, which can be used to turn on the emergency exit lights. This button overrides the emergency exit light switch in the flight deck. Activation of the flight attendant emergency light switch will illuminate the emergency exit lights, even if the flight deck emergency exit light switch is in the arm or disarm position. This concludes the lighting module.